I think that one of the most important ways a school board director can truly represent the community is to be out in it. And there's, many populations to be interacting with and to be engaging with. And we want our candidates to understand that the Native community is here and ready to engage. We actively want to spend time getting to know them, for them getting to know us. And I think that this is just one of the beginning opportunities. We're really opening a door to them to say, hey, we're here. Will you please come and get to know us? Please listen to us, learn from us. And if you get elected, we hope to continue that relationship with them.
This is Hourglass, the podcast for United Way of King County in Seattle. Coming up, a conversation with two members of local Indigenous organizations that will host a Seattle Public School Board Candidate Forum on October 4th at North Seattle College. We chatted with Lisa Rivera, the board director of Urban Native Education Alliance and a former school board director, and Kamryn Yanchick, political navigator of Native Action Network, about hosting the candidate forum and about education issues in local Indigenous communities. We'll also discuss an upcoming happy hour and hellos event and a local volunteer opportunity. I'm your host, Joe Burris. Thanks for tuning in. On October 4th, two local Indigenous organizations will give people an opportunity to meet candidates running for positions on the Seattle Public School Board. Urban Native Education Alliance and Native Action Network, two Seattle-based Indigenous organizations proudly supported by United Way, will host the School Board Candidate Forum on October 4th at the North Seattle College Auditorium. The two groups say that the candidate forum will give people a chance to hear candidates' views on issues impacting Indigenous students and families. Both organizations are committed to improving education outcomes in Indigenous communities. Urban Native Education Alliance offers culturally responsive and relevant support to Indigenous youth and families through social, cultural, and educational support services. All of its programs are youth-centered, youth-driven, and designed for promoting health, wellness, academic, and socio-cultural success for youth, families, and communities. Native Action Network promotes representation and leadership for Indigenous women in local, state, federal, and tribal matters. Its programming includes a youth academy for Indigenous women aged 18 to 25 that prepares the next generation of young Indigenous leaders with 3 days of training in areas such as personal development, goal setting, and networking. The two organizations are partnering to serve as a conduit between local Indigenous communities and Seattle Public Schools. They seek to help public schools provide Indigenous students with an education that is culturally grounded, community-centered, and geared toward supporting a child's overall well-being. And those sentiments are shared statewide. Washington State University's Office of Tribal Relations conveyed similar findings in its recent report commissioned by the state legislature and led by Zoe High Eagle Strong, director of Washington State University's Office of Tribal Relations. The report offered several recommendations to the state legislature, including training educators with the knowledge, skills, and cultural competencies to serve Indigenous students and communities effectively, identifying and building better data systems with Indigenous student-centered indicators to inform policy and practice, and thereby enhancing student learning, and shifting the paradigm through relationship building between tribes and schools to integrate Indigenous language, culture, and history into the public school system. United Way of King County is proud to support local Indigenous organizations that provide programs and resources to ensure that Indigenous youth exceed in school and beyond. Both Urban Native Education Alliance and Native Action Network are members of United Way's Indigenous Communities Fund. Since the fund was launched in 2020, we've granted about $5 million to local groups to address the many needs in King County's Indigenous communities. Hourglass recently sat down with Lisa Rivera, board director of Urban Native Education Alliance and a former school board director, and Kamryn Yanchick, political navigator of Native Action Network, for a conversation about education in Indigenous communities leading up to the school board candidate forum. We begin with Lisa, who spoke on why communities of all backgrounds would benefit from the forum.
Sadly, very few people really understand the purpose and function of the school board. And this isn't just a Native community need. It's really the entire, city and every district across the country, really. People don't really understand what school boards do, what their jurisdiction is. So really, this is just a chance to educate our community on what the functions of the school board are and what these candidates hope to bring to that job if they are elected.
Great.
Yeah. And this is actually really exciting because it's the first time that we've teamed up to host this specific event. So Native Action Network is super excited to collaborate with UNEA. We've been longtime partners, but I think both of our organizations' missions intersect in a really meaningful way on this specific event and this specific forum. So UNEA is really the experts in all things education, Native students, getting parents and students and community members involved in creating school systems that help Native students thrive. And a big part of that is policy and creating the environment and the settings that can allow those things to happen. And the Native Action Network comes in from the perspective of leadership development and community engagement. Our mission really centering around empowering Native people and especially Native women to step into positions of leadership and to get involved in civic life, in politics. And so I think it's really meaningful for us to collaborate in this way to bring this event to our community that helps educate them on the importance of the school board. And hopefully, maybe they can see themselves having this as a first step, not only just to meet the candidates that are running, but to start forming those relationships with those who will be in power and continue the conversation moving forward on how to keep making Seattle public schools a better environment for all Native students.
Yeah, and to echo what Kamryn was saying, this is a great opportunity to help the candidates learn more about the issues impacting Native students and families.
Yes. I have to say, when I heard about this, I got the opportunity to do something because before I came to Seattle, I was an education reporter for the Baltimore Sun. And I remember, even though I already had a child in the school system, there was so much that I learned just covering the school board. I mean, all kinds of things that you just take for granted or you think that they run one way and I didn't know anything about the difference between an operating budget and a capital budget.
Yep.
I didn't hear anything about that prior to that. For someone who has served on a school board, can you talk about the things every parent and every student should know, how a board functions and how it's funded?
Yeah, I think that a lot of people should realize that the school board is elected by the people of the district and really of the city. All people in Seattle will vote on the school board directors, regardless of whether or not they have a student in the system or not. So it's really important for them to understand that they have a lot of power in their vote. As we always say, votes matter, and they especially do when it comes to your children. Parents really are the ones who will come to this probably primarily, but really we hope anyone in Seattle takes this opportunity to come and learn about Native issues and hear from the candidates themselves. Part of the ambiguity of the school board is that it represents the district, but also represents the people. So it plays this dual role of, they're elected by the people to represent them, but they're also the, top government body of the district. So you sort of have to play that fine line of, which side are you kind of like speaking for when you speak? Because those aren't always the same, they don't always have the same message. But it's important just to know, again, who the candidates are, when the elections are, and, to get a chance to meet the candidates, because that's really how you're going to find out the most you can about them and their stance on the different issues and policies.
Wonderful. So now, Kamryn, in the work that you all at Native Action Network do, what are some of the most pressing issues for parents in your communities?
I think, and I don't think this is unique to Seattle, but I think we're still seeing a lot of leftover consequences of the pandemic and how that just really shook up education, and how students are struggling to feel engaged and to feel kind of caught up coming back into school. But then also, I think a lot of the issues that the school board is facing, people feel in other races besides the school board. So especially for Native people, feeling heard and feeling represented is an issue that stretches across offices. That's not something that's unique to the school board, but I think especially for Native youth, it's a really critical time for them to feel empowered and to have curriculum that accurately and fully addresses Native history, but then also Native contemporary life and tribal sovereignty is really meaningful for people, as well as support services for students to make sure that they are not only just getting their general needs met as students and, as a student themselves, but then also setting themselves up for a great path, whether that be college or career or trade school, but then also they're having their unique needs met as Native students. We heard of some Native students just last week talk about the need for more Native staff and faculty, especially Native counselors, and how that's a really significant issue for them. And so, and I think just, again, funding priorities, making sure that our schools are well funded and that we're setting our students up for successful lives long after they graduate from Seattle.
Great. Now, in which district do most students live?
Well, in Seattle, we have one public schools district, and that's Seattle Public Schools.
Okay.
It's strange, though. So it's one school district with 7 districts inside of that.
Right. Yeah, those 7.
Yeah. So those are really just geographic areas of the city. And for this election, this election cycle, District 2, 4, 5, and 7 will be on the ballot.
Okay, and students live in all of those districts represented there.
Well, so in the primary, the people who live in those districts voted on the candidates. Mm-hmm. So, like in one race, I think there was 5 of them, and top 2 move on to the general election. In the general election, the entire city votes on those candidates because ultimately, school board directors, although they come out of a district, they do represent the entire city. Mm-hmm. All the things that the school board votes on and decides are district-wide decisions.
Now, has every school board candidate agreed to participate in the candidate forum?
We've had of the 7 so there's 4 races, 8 candidates. I believe we have 6 who will be in attendance.
How critical is it that every candidate show up?
I think we definitely wanted to make sure that every candidate got the opportunity to. Although for the 2 candidates who cannot attend, they both expressed their wishes that they could be. We understood that, it's a busy time for everyone. And so we knew that, there was a chance that we couldn't get every candidate to attend. And so we did give all candidates, even if they aren't going to be able to be there physically, the opportunity to send along a brief statement to the Native community that community members can still read in lieu of them being there. But then also we will be recording the candidate forum as well, because we think that even if they aren't able to be there and give their responses at that time, again, what Lisa said, we think it's a really important opportunity for all candidates to get to hear the concerns from the Native community and to think about how they want to really serve the Native students and parents, whether or not they get elected or not, but to really hear those issues out and think about those critically moving forward.
Okay, so for someone where it's a parent, a student, or a candidate that doesn't show up, you said you're recording it. Where can they hear it afterward?
It's my understanding we have a partner who will be doing a live streaming for us. Mm-hmm. So we shall to direct people to somewhere online. They can listen to it after the event.
Okay, and so how much should, in your mind, school districts take part in, be involved in the whole community beyond schooling? And then how much of it should you think be relegated to just the classroom?
I think that one of the most important ways a school board director can truly represent the community is to be out in it. And there's many populations to be interacting with and to be engaging with. And we want our candidates to understand that the Native community is here and ready to engage. We actively want to spend time getting to know them, for them getting to know us. And I think that this is just one of the beginning opportunities. We're really opening a door to them to say, hey, we're here. Will you please come and get to know us? Please listen to us, learn from us. And if you get elected, we hope to continue that relationship with them. As a director myself, I know that you could spend every waking moment meeting with community because there's many different populations in Seattle. But it's really, again, it is the foundation of your job.
So lastly, if I'm listening to this and I want to attend, what do I do?
Yeah, so we hope that everyone can make it to the candidate forum. We'll be having it Saturday, October 4th from 12 to 2:30 p.m. at North Seattle College in the auditorium. So please feel free to stop by. Both Native and Native allies are more than welcome. We'll be having some lunch at 12, catered by Indigenous chef Olivia Ford, Live for Flavor. So who doesn't want free food? And then we'll also be having door prizes, giveaways. We have T-shirts, stickers, a bunch of fun swag. We'll also have some voter registration resources available as well. We want to make sure that community members are getting educated, but then also have the resources to make sure that they're able to cast their ballots on Election Day. We'll be starting the candidate forum promptly at 1 p.m. in the auditorium. So again, we hope that we can see you there. We'll have some prepared questions, but then also we'll be giving audience members the opportunity to submit their own questions as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Kamryn and Lisa, for appearing on Hourglass. Really appreciate you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
For more information about Urban Native Education Alliance, log on to urbannativeeducation.org. For more information about Native Action Network, log on to nativeactionnetwork.org. We're bringing back happy hour and hellos. Join us on October 14th at Nordstrom at South Center Mall for the latest installment of our networking series that allows professionals to mix and mingle over refreshments, learn more about the work United Way of King County is doing in our community, and about ways to get involved. The event begins at 6 p.m. For more information, log on to uwkc.org/events. Looking for a volunteer event? Join us on October 11th at El Centro de la Raza in Seattle to craft flowers and organize auction items for El Centro's annual Building the Beloved Community Gala. Take part in an exciting event that raises funds for 43 programs and services that benefit more than 20,000 individuals and families across our region. El Centro needs volunteers at 10 a.m. on October the 11th in Seattle's Convention Center in preparation for the event that will take place at the Convention Center later at 5 p.m. For more information, log on to uwkc.org/events. At United Way of King County, we are working side by side with communities to build an equitable future for everyone. Hourglass United Way is a podcast that highlights how we and our partners spend time making a difference in our communities. Our work is made possible by the generous donations from people like you. Please send comments and suggestions about our podcast to hourglassunitedway@gmail.com. To learn more about our work or to support United Way, log on to uwkc.org. I'm your host, Joe Burris. Thanks for listening. Until next time.